Hello, this is Brian Cummings again from Unknown Worlds Entertainment, and this is part 3 in a series of videos that will hopefully help explain how to export your own custom models and get them working with the Spark tools. In this particular video we will be opening up 3D Studio Max and setting up the plugins for 3D Studio Max, applying material, and exporting a .da file. Alright, so let's go ahead and open up gorgles.max. Obviously you probably have your own Max file. If you aren't using 3D Studio Max, I definitely encourage using 3D Studio Max 2009 to make sure that it works smoothly and you don't have any bugs. I think you absolutely have to for some things like animations and physics objects, but for rough models you should be able to work with some other tools that also export in Collada format. But yeah, I strongly encourage that you use 3D Studio Max and use our Collada plugin. That way, you won't have any problems at all. So here's 3D Studio Max, and the first thing we need to do is make sure that we have the plugin set up by going to Customize and going to the Plugin Manager here. So let's open up that. I already have it loaded, obviously, so we are going to find it. It should be called Collada. Why am I going down? It should be in the C's. ColladaMax.dle, and yeah, you can see mine's already loaded, but obviously probably need to load that still, so we will go to Load New Plugin, and I'm just going to go to my desktop and find my shortcut to Natural Selection 2, and if you go to your Natural Selection 2 folder in your Steam folder, you should be able to find a file called ColladaMax.dle. So what you want to do is open up that, and that should be added to your plugin manager. Obviously mine is already loaded, so I don't need to do that. And then once you've done that, just restart 3D Studio Max. I won't be restarting because, again, I don't need to. So moving on here, let's see, what's the next thing? We've got our plugin. Next thing, we just need to set up the material correctly. So let's hit M to open up the material editor. And obviously I already have mine applied, but let's just overwrite these with blank ones and select everything and apply blank material here so we can work from scratch. And okay, so what you want to do is select one of these circles in the material editor, and down here you'll have a maps pull down that will open up and show you all the different maps that are available to hook up into 3D Studio Max. You really absolutely only need to select the diffuse map here. If you have other files like bump maps and opacity or specular maps, you can apply those obviously to take a look at them in 3D Studio Max, but it's not necessary at all for this export process. So we're going to select this blank map, and then we're going to select bitmap and hit OK. So this is basically just going to hook up our I'm looking for it. Here's our gorgles.psd, and we want to open up that gorgles.psd. Since it's a Photoshop file, it's going to ask me if it wants to collapse the layers, which I do. And since Max is weird, it's going to make me resize it. Obviously, you want it 1:1, and let's see. I have the map right here. Yep, that looks good. And next thing we need to do is actually apply it to the gorge. So I'm just going to select the gorge here and assign material to selection. So that's actually selected or applied to the gorge now. You can tell when something is applied to what you have selected by having these like bold triangles in the corner of the boxes here. And yeah, alright, so we need to select this button next, which is Show Standard Map in Viewport, and that'll just show the map in Viewport. Right now it has the goggles and the packs using the gorge material, which is kind of silly, but yeah, we'll change that in just a second. So what we need is a second material to be applied to this gorge. And all I did there was just name it something different. And now I need to, it's got some UV template there, we can ignore that. Apply a new bitmap to it. And this one's called gorgles.mist.psd. And as you can see in this preview, it's just the Spec Ops face and special like textures and stuff all stored on that material. So I'm going to open that. And once that's applied, we should be good to go. Yeah, here we go. Okay. And let's see, change that back to 1. And what I'm doing here is I'm assigning the material to the selection with just this button. You can actually just drag and drop as well and assign to selection, which didn't work. Well, that's right, I had to click this button so that it'll show up, and hey, there we go. Now my gorge is actually fully armed, ready to rock. Alright, so what's the next step? Next thing we need to do is, well, we're actually just ready to export now. Now, if you are just using a static prop and everything, this is basically all you need to do. If it's like a barrel or a refrigerator or any sort of static prop, all you need to do is, apply your material onto your model and export that. There are, obviously, for things like characters, there's a lot more that goes into it, but we're just pretending that this is just a prop for today, and we're going to go ahead and go to File, Export, and now we need to find Brian Mod's source folder, model source, aliens, gorgles. So I'm back at my gorgles source folder. Then we want to change save file type as to this all caps collada.dae file. Don't use Autodesk Collada. This is the reason why you install the plugin, is so that you would select the right format. So we're using Collada.dae, and we want to use the same name here. So I'm going to go gorgles and save. So once you are saving out that exported file, it'll come up with this dialog box. Basically, just leaving it to its default settings is perfect. Make sure that relative paths is selected, otherwise your textures might not work correctly. And then we're just going to go ahead and hit OK. And yeah, that should be done. Let's take a look at our gorgles source file, and we see a brand new .dae file. Perfect. So that's basically how you export, and that's all I wanted to do for this particular video. In the next video, I will be showing you how to create a custom model compile file and a material file that will be able to build your model and material for use in the tool. So thanks for listening so far, and we'll see you in a bit.